Welcome back to another episode of the 2000 ELO speedrun series. We started this speedrun at just 800 ELO, and in today's video, we'll be going from 1400 ELO to 1600. As always in this speedrun, if you think the game has reached a critical position, pause the video. Calculate the position yourself and find the winning move. When you're done, unpause the video and see if our calculations match up. This is called solitaire chess, and it's one of the best ways to improve your chess whilst watching videos like this. Today's video was actually live streamed right here on YouTube. If you would like to go and see all of the games, you can click on the live tab on my channel and watch them there. Additionally, if you would like to be notified when I do go live, feel free to subscribe to the channel. But without further ado, let's get into the games. Let's get some wins. Let's play some d4. Play bishop f4, we're versing a Caro-Kann, which is not very challenging against the London system, to be honest. Let's play e3. Bishop f5, let's play c3. Bishop d3 to come. Bishop d3 now, we'll happily trade off the light squared bishops. If he ever wants to play bishop d6, I'm just gonna let him. He wants knight g6 here, let's play knight f3, continue develop. c4, c4 can be good, but I'd much prefer to play e4 to break open the e-file for the castled rook to see. Knight d7 is not very challenging of a move, so we're just gonna castle here. c5 is a good move for black, always. Just keeping tension in the center so I can never really play e4, but we'll play rook e1 here, just continue making solid moves. And that's a bad move, okay? You've played a good move, followed up by a bad move, because that breaks the tension, which was the only reason c5 was any good, to stop e4. And you've broken the tension, and now you've got this very weak pawn chain that I'm going to try and exploit. Play knight d2 here. This is not possible. I've got 3 defenders on the e5 square. Bishop d6 is a common mistake that people make, blundering their bishop. Now we can play e4. Knight h5 is a good move after e4, but we give up the bishop for the open file, so we're gonna play e4 here. Okay, this is a very instructive moment, and I want you guys to find the move. Everyone in YouTube chat, please find the move. It's well, it's not very difficult, but a lot of you will get it wrong. e5, if you said e5, you would be wrong. You would be wrong, chat, because e5 runs into knight h5, attacking the bishop, and even though we take the bishop, our bishop hangs. So first we take. We take first, takes, and then e5, because there's no knight h5. Very instructive moment. And we get this, and very importantly, don't throw a tantrum when you get into this position as black and take, because you know what knight takes? You know what happens after knight takes? We don't take back with the knight. We fork you again with d takes e5. This happened all the time when I was around this elo. People would always take with the knight, thinking that they get extra pawns. No, you don't. You get extra troubles. We'll take here. Pawn takes is best because you long castle and you play rook here and you get some compensation. He hasn't played that though. And we go for trades now. We're up a piece. Let's go for trades. Everyone thought e5. I tricked you guys. There's a queen a4 here as well. Is this, okay, so you're losing the game. Can anyone tell me why the game is lost? There is one of 3 things will happen. Either you will get checkmated, you will lose your queen, or you will lose a pawn and a rook. Can you tell me which move achieves these things? Queen a4 check. If you go king f8, the queen is lost. But queen a4 check does win the game. If you play b4, I just check, you go back, same thing. If you play knight here, I take. You could, like, I don't know, play this or something, but I don't think there's many great moves here. I think you are just going to have to play here, check. There is here, but this looks gross. Wow, can I play knight takes there? So check here, and the idea is to get you on the back rank so I can take your rook. But if check and you go down to d6, can I play knight takes c4 check? After pawn takes rook e5, rook b8. I'm not convinced that's possible, actually. If check and he goes back, let's just repeat moves. Check here, there is knight f3, but I don't see how this really changes anything. Queen c7, king back, and knight f3. Just getting more pieces into the game, but then he trades off the queens. I mean, you don't need to find the best move here. We're already up so much material, it's not going to matter. There is check here also. There is also queen takes d5. You can't take because of the pin, which is actually probably the best continuation now that I'm really thinking about it. So let's play queen takes e5. We have to make sure, by the way, with pins, with a rook, make sure that they can't sacrifice their queen for the rook. So let's say I took here, queen takes and then king takes, suddenly they can take my queen because they've taken the rook and they've broken the pin. Gotta be very careful of that. Queen takes d5 does work here though. There are no queen sacks. The best move is probably not to come and attack me. Yes, this a move like this is not really any good because I'm going to check, right? And then your king is forced to come back out. So I'm kind of throwing up right now. I'm not literally throwing up, I'm throwing up between two options. There is knight takes c4, but then knight takes c4 there is check, so I like queen takes c5 check, forcing you up here or here, and then knight takes getting into the game. I like one of these two options. Let's go with queen c5 check, so you can't go back and hide over this side of the board, you have to come forwards. King d7 is probably the worst move, which my opponent has played, because now after knight takes c4, there is knight e4 check. You can't come and attack with this, by the way, because this will also hang. There are probably multiple ways for black to mate themselves here as well. I thought you blundered the queen, not quite. Not in this game at least. Okay, he's played all of the moves that I'm suggesting are bad, so let's try and punish this. Knight check is good, gives you two moves. If you go up here, I can take the rook for free. So check, let's assume he's gonna go here. Check, he's gonna go here. Check, he gets away. Check, he doesn't get away. And I think this is winning. So let's play knight e5 check here. I assume that this is not going to be played. You can't take with the queen, by the way, just because my queen is hanging. If queen takes, yes, if I took with the pawn, that would be a good move for you. But queen takes, I can take with the queen. So now I just want to check here. You have to come back, only move. So queen d6 check, only move king e8. We're going to check and pick up the rook. King e8, we're going to go queen d7, and he resigns, we'll go through it anyway. Queen d7 check, this is mate in 10, king f8, queen takes c8, king e7, there is queen c7 check. You can also take this, queen c7 check, king up. Okay, maybe you don't repeat moves, maybe you play knight c6, king d6, queen b7, a very silent move. And there's mate in 7 here after queen here, sacrificing this, you take with the knight. If they don't play that, by the way, and they play a waiting move, you're going to play knight e5 and prepare queen d7. Very difficult to see. If you're in this situation, I highly recommend you actually just take the rook. It's much easier to play. Don't try and overcomplicate things, even if you have 8 minutes on the clock. I mean, you should be practicing your mating patterns outside of games. In puzzles, you should be practicing your mating patterns. There's not really a massive point in practicing mating patterns in games when you have other options. That was a nice game though. Should we review that one? Do you guys want to review this game? It was a pretty straightforward game. We got 98% accuracy, somebody called Kramnik. D4, C6, Bishop F4, D5, and E3. This is the London system. Bishop F5, we play C3, C4. Somebody did say C4. It was the best move. I don't like playing C4 just because I like this strong setup and I like kind of going for the same thing every time. But if you play C4, that's completely fine. C3, Bishop out. Knight f3 best move, castle's best move, rook e1. All of these moves are always going to be good in the London. Knight f6, e4, and then he made this mistake where you cannot play this. Still slightly better for white, but knight h5. It wants bishop e3 here. Oh, I see. Bishop e3, and if you go back, you actually trap the knight now. This is why this is okay. You actually trap the knight because it can't go here, it can't go here, it can't go here. That's why you can actually kind of get away with just going for the fork straight away, but this is much stronger in my opinion. Takes here and pushing for e5, it's a lot cleaner. We take the knight here, knight e5, knight e7, I'm not really sure what that intended on doing, but now we get check, we take, takes, queen takes d5 is the best move, queen check, knight up, check, check, and we win the game. Very nice. Let's get on into the next game. After e5, what if bishop c7? So e5, bishop c7, good question. Bishop g5, and you've got the pin. h6, good question also. Bishop h4, and the idea is this, but I think you can sacrifice. And you've won 2 pawns. I would even say that you shouldn't go down that line because, I mean, now this is the threat. So like queen d7, we're gonna take here. This is an incredibly good bishop. Rook h6, he might even be, the engine might even try to sacrifice here. Let's play a new game there. Black pieces. We've got d4 here, chat. What should we play against d4? d4, d5. Bishop out, the London system. What do we want to play against the London system? Let's play knight f6. Maybe I'll go for c5. Why are all of my opponents talking to me? My opponent says I struggle with Karakan. What does Gotham Chess recommend for black? If I play c5, he's got knight out. Then I can check, and he has to go back. So let's play c5 here. He can't play knight out because of the check. Picking up this because you haven't played e4 yet, or e3. Okay, now we can check. We're not worried about this. We can check. If you bring the bishop back or block with any of these, I pick up the knights, so you're gonna have to go back like this. If I take, You're absolutely fine. Knight c6 is actually probably not a terrible shout. If you take, I'm gonna play e5. If you go back, then I play d4 and I win the piece. So knight c6 feels okay. He's not taking it. Maybe I can play knight out now. Or just bishop g4, but then takes. No, this still works. Bishop, let's play bishop g4. We're gonna go for the same ideas on this knight. There is knight e5. Okay, e3 is a good move. Now we have e6. The knight can't move because it's pinned. This knight can't move because it's also pinned. We could play e6 here. Knight e4 might be tricky. Knight e4, what do you play? First of all, I could maybe play pawn takes. I don't think this helps me. Okay, no, I think it actually does. Let's play knight e4. This piece is pinned still. You can't play this yet because of knight takes. Although maybe then there's like queen d2. No, but then I just go back and I'm defended, okay. Knight e5. I think we might just be winning here, by the way. I think black has played this, white has played this far too slowly. And I know that the reason I feel like I'm winning is because I've been in white's shoes before. Because I play the London, and these positions are not pleasant. So this is wrong, because after bishop takes, there is just knight takes. If you take here, boomerang tactic, I save my bishop and recapture. If takes, very important, queen d7, now I can go knight a4, and my knight is not trapped. Knight takes here, if you go back anywhere else, like here, after takes, the bishop will take. So we can take here, if you take, I'm going to check. If you block, I'm going here. If you can't go up here, I'm going to take, and checkmate. So I think you might actually have to give up the rook here, because now I just go here, pawn takes, knight check, and I'm winning the queen here. No safe squares for the king. We win the queen. If you don't play bishop g2, we'll win the rook next. The bishop is also hanging, and my opponent resigns on move 13. A very quick game. Let's look at the review. We played 92% accuracy in this game. I didn't play it perfectly, but alas. d4, d5, bishop out, knight f6. You play c5. This is a good move. Knight b5 is bad because the queen gets developed very quickly. The only move is to go back. Knight c6 is a mistake. So if this queen takes, and then I guess you play knight out, giving tempo. Knight c6 is wrong first because of knight f3, which he found. Then I played bishop g4, e3, and inaccuracy because of knight e4. h3 is obviously bad because you can take and then take the knight. If here, very important, I think there's only one good move. Yes, there is. You can play something like g5. The engine also likes it, but the idea is still, eventually you're going to go knight a4. Actually, no, the idea is that you get your rook activated, which is a very engine-y line, but regardless, knight a4 is really the only good move. -2 compared to -0.6 in other lines. If you go here, of course, this is bad, because after this, white is actually better. But queen d2 was not played. Instead, he took, we take. If you move your queen, we're going to take, and this is no good. If you come back, we're going to play c takes, and this same kind of thing occurs where knight takes d4 is going to be on the board, and your king has to go all the way down the board. But he doesn't play that. Instead, he plays knight down immediately. We take, he takes. Rook here is actually the best move. You don't have to recapture. This is chess, not checkers. We take with the knight, he takes with the queen, and there is actually nothing you can do here. Bishop e3 is the best move, because otherwise the position kind of falls apart. You want to get your king somewhat safe, and putting your bishop on e3 kind of gives it a little bit of a home, even if it's at the expense of your rook. Very nice game there. Let's jump into another game. We got the black pieces. 1500. Let's play e4, e5. Bring the knight out. Are we gonna get another Italian? No, we're not. We're gonna get the Scotch game. What should we play here? Let's take. We can actually go bishop c5 here, because there's no bishop on c4. So if there was a bishop on c4, and we played bishop c5, they could go bishop takes. No, I think it would be bishop here, knight takes first, and then if you take back with anything, he goes bishop takes, king takes, and queen check, hitting the bishop and the king. We'll look at that in the review. I like bishop c5, and if takes, we take with the b pawn. So I might go for that. c5, takes. Yeah, okay, this seems fine. I kind of like doubling the pawns here, allowing the bishop to come out this way. Okay, and he's playing a very solid move. I don't think he's gonna be that bad to blunder that. I think if I play queen f6, he definitely just castles. So instead I'm going to play d6, stopping the move e5, allowing knight f6, and opening this bishop. So now the queen can't land on f6 because the bishop is open. I think d6 is the most logical move here. Okay, he's played queen h5, which kind of just allows knight f6. Let's play knight f6 here. Is there queen g5? I don't think there is. I think there's h6. No? h6, queen takes, rook g8. It's defended by this, so there could have been like check here and check, but he's defended by the bishop. If I play h6, takes, there's no rook h7, unfortunately, because he has queen g3 back. So h6 takes, rook g8 takes, rook takes g2. I'm gonna go for h6. I don't think you can take the g7 pawn. I do give up 2 pawns for the 1 g2 pawn, but I'm also probably going to win f7. Let's see. There's a lot of sacrificing potential in this position, I feel. Like bishop takes f2 is always an idea. He's taken, let's go rook g8. We don't have this, unfortunately. Oh, we do. We do actually. King takes, knight g4 check. So which is better? Bishop takes. He doesn't have to take, by the way. He can move. I think bishop takes f2 is best. I have to be careful though. After king here, let's say I just come back. Bishop g5 seems good. Maybe I have maybe I have rook here, but then check. So he's going over. I do have check, which is interesting. If I go check and he goes king d2, do I have knight check? It's probably not. Bishop check just does seem very logical. Bishop check, king here, and maybe queen e7. Yeah, let's go bishop check. If he decides to block, okay, he doesn't. Let's play queen e7, and now we're preparing to long castle. And he's in a little bit of a predicament here. And I really wish this worked, but it sadly doesn't seem to have anything. I'm looking at d5 as well, by the way. I just don't see anything. d5 takes. I just don't see anything. Let's play queen e7. And look at this position. Well, down 1 pawn, but all of these pieces are active. The easy way to save everything is to play this, by the way. The queen is not trapped because it has h8. Also has... No, it doesn't have that square. I could go queen e6. And after rook takes, I can go check. If you take, I check and win the queen. Queen e6, takes, check, king up. I just have knight takes, queen takes. I don't know if that's winning. That's sacrificing 2 pieces. Queen here, takes, check. Queen here, takes, check. King up. I just don't see it. Yeah, I think we just move the bishop here. I think bishop d4 probably is fine. Let's go bishop d4. Not sure. Not sure if we had something better. We can castle on the next move as well. Now we do have some knight takes e4 ideas. Now that the bishop's safe, knight takes e4 here. It wouldn't work because of rook e1, but castling kind of opens up our opportunities. And I think we must have a way out here, right? I mean, c3 is probably going to be his next move. c3, queen e6. Queen e6 now just feels very good. Queen e6 now feels very good. Let's play queen e6. Extra defense. These checks are all on. This check is on. Check, check. I really like this. Okay, he's seen my idea, sadly. He's seen the idea. We can just long castle. I don't think taking has any merit. Let's just long castle here. We've got to be careful of this diagonal now because our queen is on the same one as our king. Okay. There is possibly a d5 here. d5 pawn takes. Oh yeah, d5 pawn takes here. Takes with check. Let's play d5. d5 is super logical. Everything is held. He doesn't have queen f5 to trade everything off. And the idea is freeing up this square for the knight and drawing the king onto the c3 square. Generally the idea, and we could also just take here. So this is a good intermezzo. He's kicking my bishop away. Interesting. I guess the idea is to trade off queens. I think he's a little bit worried. I can play e takes. E takes, if pawn takes, then I take the bishop. E takes, pawn takes, I actually take with check first. Let's go e takes. I like e takes. Danger levels. We don't want our queen to be traded off. If you play this, I'm going to play takes. You cannot take back because your queen will hang. So a lot of tactics in the center of the board. There is this check, but it's very easy to evade, and that's not really the point of my attack. So bishop a6 is probably still the best move, but it doesn't fix the problems. And now I am back up on material. He's played bishop a3, which is a mistake, because now I can play the beautiful bishop takes c3, and you cannot take back because of this check. And the main issue is you not being able to take back, and we'll look at it in the review just because we're a little low on time here. We have check, picking up the queen. The job's not done, by the way. There still is a little bit of chess left to be played after I do win the game, or I do win the queen, unless my opponent decides to resign here. But let's take here. If he takes with the rook, I have this check, by the way. I don't even take the free piece. I don't save my piece. I go for the check, getting the maximum amount of material. If you go here, I come with another check, and my opponent resigns the game. And that's probably the game of the day. That's probably the best game we've played all day. I'm not sure if the engine will agree, but it was a very dynamic game, and I think it had some nice ideas in it. Wasn't the greatest game, only 72% accuracy. Okay, e4, and we played e5. Knight f3, knight c6, d4, takes, bishop c5, knight takes, pawn takes, bishop d3, and d6. d5 was the best move here. Queen h5, and we go knight f6, queen g5, h6, queen takes g7 is a blunder. It's because of this. Huh? And now rook g8? What kind of engine line is this? Wait, he's trapped? Is he... Oh! Now he's trapped. But he can just go like king f1. Oh, but after king f1, rook h7. And the only square that we mentioned that wasn't defended is now defended. The queen is trapped. That's a very impressive line. I'm not even mad that I didn't find that. Rook g8 is still better, by the way. It's -1 despite being down the pawn. And now you play bishop takes f2. The king goes over. Bishop check is good. Queen e7. Bishop d... Mate in 7. I missed mate in 7 here. Knight takes e4. There are no squares for the king. Bishop takes and simply queen takes. Silent move. And the king is getting mated. Queen d4 check is to come. c4 is the best idea. Here, king c2. Bishop f5 check. King b3. Rook b8 check. King a4. Queen takes c4, king down, and queen checkmate. Okay, a better chess player would have found that checkmate, but instead I went for bishop d4, knight c3. I went for queen e6, another missed win. Apparently this is -1.4, okay. So I'm for queen e6, which is still winning. It's -1.6. Queen f4 is a blunder because of knight h5. And is the queen struggling for squares? If queen check, obviously you just win the rook. The queen is just very trapped here. Knight h5 is another queen trap that I missed. I went for castles instead. b3, I went for d5, and I took in the center. He went bishop a3, and finally the idea is on the board where you win the queen and win the rook. A very nice game. I'd be interested to see what the YouTube viewers think in the actual video, how many wins people found that I didn't find, because there were a lot of wins in that game. A very dynamic game. Super cool game. 26 elo until we reach our goal. We have the white pieces. I really want somebody to play the queen, to let me play the Queen's Gambit. But I keep getting it. I got a Dutch last time I wanted to play the Queen's Gambit, and now I get an England. Okay, well, at least we can... I don't think I've shown how to refute the England Gambit in the speedrun series yet, so let's go with that and play d takes e. Playing against the England Gambit is probably the most confident I am in any line. Knight c6 should be responded with knight f3. Bishop e7, you can play either bishop f4 or bishop g5. It really doesn't matter. He plays there, we play knight c3 always. Allow him to take, and immediately retreat with the bishop, defending the knight. There are multiple ways that you can play after bishop b4. One way I do like playing is knight d5, takes, knight takes, and after queen takes pawn, you have knight c4. It's a really good trick, because after knight c4, they have to find queen d4, takes, knight check, king over, takes, knight check, king over, takes, bishop b3, and this is a very long line that I don't expect a 1700 to find. I think the best option is probably playing rook b1, but I'm going to go for this knight d5 line just because I don't see anyone play it, and it's a cool line. It gets good positions anyway. and they're very simple positions. So let's go for knight d4. We're threatening to take here. We're going to take back with the knight. If we take back with the queen, we lose our rook. And now we play knight c4, and you can see now the queen has no squares to defend the check. You cannot play queen e4 because knight c7 check, king over, and knight d2. We'll see it here. Knight c7 check, king over, knight d2, danger levels on the queen, and we are winning the rook. A very cool line. I'll show you exactly how to refute this line though. Let's take the rook in the corner. In any situation like this, by the way, you probably want to play knight b6 to double the pawns. You don't want to just let them have it and keep their pawn structure. If I double their pawns, there's doubled isolated pawns and an isolated pawn here. This bishop never gets active. Alternatively, you could look for some kind of knight e4, queen takes, and queen d6 ideas. But I'm going to play simple and play knight b6 because we're already up material. And now we're going to play g3, bishop g2, and we're going to be very happy in this position. Up +2. Obviously, he can't castle. Let's play. I think he is just going to get back in and manually castle. We don't really have a quick way in. So let's just play knight f3, castle our king, rook b1, and start looking at his weaknesses. Let's go castles and e3. Up 2 points of material. This should be an easy game to win. Okay, knight in. I like trading down here. So knight d4, trading pieces. The bishop sees this. He doesn't want to trade. I can go queen d3 though. He's got no good moves for his knight. If knight takes, we don't take this knight. We will blunder that fork. We don't really want to fix his pawns by taking, but we can play check. He can jump back after that though. We have knight b5 maybe. Let's go for knight b5. There's a possible queen trade in there. With queen d6 check, we can also go knight d6, hitting the rook and bishop. Knight c5 is on the board. We can trade off the queens. I like trading off the queens, to be honest. Is there any benefit to doing this? Let's trade off the queens, up material, and fork the rook and the bishop. The good part about trading queens first, by the way, is that after you take, your rook has to sit passively on the d8 square to defend the bishop. And now maybe we can go for a move like rook b1 to hit the b6 pawn. He has knight a4 to defend it. Now we can take with check and just take the pawn. We are getting rid of his bad bishop, but it's at the expense of a pawn. His knight is now tied to the b7 pawn. We can double up maybe. Now we have nothing really to be worried about at all. Up 3 points of material. Rook here maybe is a good move. Maybe I'll take. My opponent has resigned, unfortunately, so I don't think we'll be able to, or has disconnected, sorry. I don't think we'll get to finish this game, but I do want to keep it up and possibly put it in the video because it is a very instructive way to beat the Anglin Gambit without having to remember too much theory. And I'll show exactly how to refute this line as well. You win the game. I'll show exactly how to refute this line because it's not a sound line. D4 Anglin Gambit, we played knight f3, queen out, bishop g5, knight c3, bishop back, bishop b4. The best move here is rook b1. It always will be because you get queen a3, but this is a very long line to remember. And then you have to play knight d5 here, attacking this and this. If bishop takes d2, you can't really take with the... Oh, you can take with the queen, but then you need to bring the rook to the d file. And this is... Like, I remember the theory up to this. I memorized the theory. King d8 is usually played. It's not, like, clear. You're down a pawn. He's stuck in the middle of the board, but there is still a lot of chess to be played. So if you don't want to remember all that theory and you don't really trust yourself in these kind of positions, you can play for knight d5, which is slightly better for white still. The only reason it's a mistake is because the engine thinks it loses a lot of the advantage. After takes, you take back with the knight, and queen takes is a big miss, and now we are all the way up to negative +1 for white because of the move knight c4. You can't play this because of obviously check here and knight d2, which happened in the game. And the only move here actually is queen d4. This is the best move. It's still not great because after takes, you have queen takes d4 here, takes, king over, takes. But the difference is my king is closer to getting your knight than your king is to getting mine because my knight blocks out the square. That is the main difference, and that is why white is winning here. And that's the best case scenario for white if they do fall for this trick. However, there is an alternate line. Instead of playing queen takes, they can actually just play knight b4. Knight b4 is the best move. They're threatening knight takes c2 checkmate, or not checkmate, you would have to sacrifice your queen, but after takes, you still have your central pawn, you still have a lot of good things in this game, but it's not quite as punishing. And that concludes the games for the 4th episode of the 2000 ELO speedrun series. I hope you're all continuing to enjoy this series. We're just 1 episode away from the finale. We've got some big videos planned for the upcoming weeks, and if you haven't already, feel free to check out the polls on the community tab and have your say on what videos are uploaded next. But other than that, thank you for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video.